Title: M demands my monitor. Gets sweet unseen revenge. First of all, this was a while ago before Corona, and the revenge I sadly didn't get to see as I don't even know her. So, my sister had smashed the screen of my monitor. I was extremely pissed, and my dad said that she should pay for it as she has loads of money from my aunt as she is her favored child. But my mum thinks she is an absolute angel, so she didn't have to pay for it, even though my sister volunteered to pay for it. Anyway, we took it to a shop to get it repaired, but it cost more than to get a new one. So we left and went to put the monitor in my dad's car when the M showed UPM. Excuse me, but what are you doing me? Just putting my monitor in my car. You are sure too old for it. Me, it doesn't even work. Bullshit. You just don't want my angel having it. Me, okay, and where is this supposed angel? Just give it here. She grabs my monitor and runs off. I made no attempt to stop her as it was broken. I can only imagine that when she set it up, she would have screamed her lungs out. Title: M asks my mom if my brother and I have different dads. Obligatory not me, and I don't know if this belongs here. M equals mom, M equals entitled mother, P equals other mom at the game, BB equals big brother. A little backstory. BB and I look nothing alike. And we were at BB's T-ball game and I was running around on the side of the game. M to P, who is his, points to me. Brother. P. Oh, look in the dugout and find the person who looks least like him, and that's his brother. Title: Karen thinks rules don't apply to her. Endages her kids in the process. Hey guys, hope you are doing well and are staying safe. I haven't got much time to go to Reddit these days, but today I have nothing else to do, so I want to share a story that happened a few weeks ago. English is not my first, or my second, language, so be cool. For context, I live in a very bike-friendly Western European city. Bikes are everywhere and the city puts a lot of money into developing the needed infrastructure. Two-way bike lanes or bike lanes on both sides of almost every road, for example. For my part, I use my bike every day. It's my main way of transportation and it's basically a part of me now. I try taking good care of it. But since I use it so much, something always breaks or wears down and has to be replaced. A few weeks ago, it was time for my brakes to not work properly. They still worked, but you had to really press on them to slow down. So now to the story. A few weeks ago, boyfriend and I decided to spend the Sunday morning riding our bikes to the nearby park, where we can enjoy some fresh air and not worry about wearing a mask, as it's not mandatory in open spaces in our country. To reach the park, we took the one-way bike lane that goes from our apartment along the river, then down a hill and to the park. It was sunny, but kind of early, so there were not a lot of people outside. We weren't in a hurry, just enjoying our ride and the nice weather. As we were going down the above-mentioned hill, the gravity reminded me that it's more powerful than us. And so, as expected, I was moving faster, without actually doing anything. Knowing the state of my brakes, I concentrated on the road, not wanting to be distracted. And then it happened. Just as the hill ended and I was on flat ground again, I saw a woman and her 3 kids about 20 meters, 65 feet, in front of me, casually walking on the bike lane and on the sidewalk that goes along the right side of the bike lane. I pressed hard on my barely working brakes and yelled for them to move, but in vain. So being the quick thinker that I am, as I was just about to hit them from behind, I turned left and hit some bushes that were conveniently planted on the left side of the bike lane. It took me a few seconds to get over the shock, before I managed to concentrate and check the damage. By that time boyfriend, B, was right by my side. as he was just behind me on the bike lane and saw the whole thing happen. He was trying to help me up, but not very successfully, as my clothes were caught in the bushes. As I was telling him that everything was fine, I heard a woman yell and then poke her head behind B's shoulder. I will paraphrase the conversation, as it was short and there was a lot of yelling, but it went something like that. Karen. Young lady. What do you think you are doing? You almost killed my kids. Me. A little out of breath but also a little angry. Karen. You were walking on the bike lane. Karen. Of course I was. Where else should I walk with my kids? You cannot walk with kids on the sidewalk. It's made of cobblestone. It hurts my kids' feet. B. Angrily. With a few colorful French cursing words that I won't write here. Lady. How you having kids is our problem. My girlfriend got hurt because of you and your refusal to respect the rules. Someday your kids will get hurt because someone won't be as nice as Op and sacrifice himself. Stay on the sidewalk. Karen. Stop cursing at me. Families with kids have priority over the bikers. Boyfriend was getting angrier by the minute, so I pulled him off and calmed him down, letting Karen go on her way. Seeing that we cannot do anything to make her understand how dangerous it was to do what she thought was normal. I wish I could say the story ends here, but unfortunately, it doesn't. I scratched my elbow and knee falling into the bushes, so we decided to go home for me to wash up. But we live not far from where this story took place, and it took us about 30 minutes to go home and then go back to the park. As we were riding down the bike lane again, about 500 meters from where that whole thing with Karen happened, we saw a group of around 15 people gathered around. I had enough time to slow down without falling down this time, since I wasn't going fast. What we saw and learned from the bystanders made me very sad. Apparently Karen and her 3 kids kept walking on the bike lane, and as predicted by boyfriend, another poor biker did not have time to slow down or just was distracted enough not to see them. So he ran over one of the kids and then fell hard on the ground, breaking his arm. Just to reassure you, the kid was fine. Shaken up, crying, a little bruised by the impact but fine. We did not stay for the aftermath, as I was really upset by the whole situation. It could have been prevented if Karen just listened to us and didn't think that the world belonged to her just because she had children. I don't know how the story ended, but the rules in our country are very strict about this kind of situation, and bikers have lots of rights. So hopefully the biker won't get in trouble for hurting the kid. Thank you for reading. Title: Ek flies drone into tree. Demands we get it down or be sued. First time posting here, but I had to let out a bit of rage from this kid. Anyway, backstory. My mum and dad both live in a small village not far from my home in the southwest of England. When I was a kid, I genuinely thought the places were connected, in which they have a beech nut tree which is estimated to be over 100 years old. As lockdown is easing, I decided to head over and see them, as I hadn't for a few weeks. Which may sound short, but I see them at least once a week. Onto the story. Me and my dad both love rugby, so we watched a match, and my mum, being the lovely lady she is, sat down with us and watched. Despite not being a huge fan of the sport, we were all having a nice time, but alas, our entitled kid and his entitled mum fired up a drone and crashed it into our tree, causing it to get stuck on some branches. None of us noticed the incident until we heard the crunch of stones outside on the driveway and a crying kid screaming, "I want my drone, give it back," and the quieting the devil spawn and pounding at the front door. My mum and I reluctantly got up to answer. Of course the Karen began screaming all manner of things, which took about 5 minutes. Okay, that's an exaggeration. To finish, and my mum, who likes, she just heard a politician screaming about how cars are government spies, simply said, "What on God's green earth are you on about? Our drone got stuck in your tree and we want it back." By this point I could tell where this was going and butted in, "Have you tried simply flying it out?" Of course we have. Honestly, when this lady shouted, I could tell if it was raining or that's her spit. Okay, that's bad. What do you want us to do about it? Me: "Get it down, you lazy pig." Them: "Mom, we aren't going to do anything now. Could you please get off our property?" This was said very calmly by my mum despite the situation at hand. "Get off our property or we will call the police." Mum, this luckily scared her and her devil spawn, who was screaming the whole time, away, but she did threaten getting lawyers involved. I decided against that and put together a plan. Basically, I sent them a drone box with a sorry letter on, which turned out to be a bit of wood and a nail.